Hi guys, my name is Cherita, and today I'm going to be talking about cheerleading. I'm going to be discussing a competition that just happened. It was NCA Nationals in Dallas, and I know there was controversy, something like that word. There was controversy over a couple teams, and there were a few cheer fans who didn't understand why certain teams didn't score as high as they thought they should, or why they placed the placements that they did. And so I went through and I watched a bunch of routines actually, and I just broke down the stunts that these teams did, and I kind of judged them myself based off of how I think the judges would have judged the routines. So I figure why not just start with breaking down the stunts and the score sheet. So I'm gonna, if you guys are interested, you guys can keep watching. Okay, so the total points in stunting is 15. Well, actually it's 20 if you count stunt quantity, which is stunt quantity is based on a traditional group of 4, either rippled or synchronized. And in order to score the highest score in stunt quantity, which is a 5, the full team must perform the same elite building skill. The stunt quantity is on its own, which is why I say it's out of 20, but that's if you add in stunt quantity. But the actual stunt building, it's stunt difficulty, which ranges from a 2.5 to a 5. Stunt and pyramid creativity, which is anywhere between 4 and 5 points, and stunt technique, which is between 3 and 5. I'm gonna start with Stingray's Peach. So they had quite a few, they had 2 different stunt sections, and only one of their stunt sections got them into the high range. And in order to get into the high range, which is 4 to 5, so you can score between a 4 and a 5 if you're in the high range, you have to have 4 different level appropriate skills performed by most of the team. They had their elite sequence, which was 7 double ups, which right there, it was double ups to an extended 2-legged stunt. And it doesn't say that it has to be an extended single leg stunt, it just says extended stunt. The double ups get them into the, it's an elite level appropriate skill, and it's performed by the full team because it's 7 stunt groups. So that right there gives them their stunt quantity of 5. So boom, they've got 5. Now they can move on with trying to get into the high range. So they did 7 double ups, which is an elite level appropriate twisting skill. They went power press, heel stretch, which the power press is not level appropriate, but it's part of their stunt sequence, but that power press doesn't qualify for their difficulty because it's not level appropriate. They went power press, heel stretch, and then they did a high to high tick-tock, which they did heel stretch to heel stretch, which that is an elite level appropriate skill. So they've got 2 level appropriate skills so far. Then they did a lib. So after the heel stretch, they did a low to high tick-tock, but it was like a lib to heel stretch, and that's a level appropriate skill, but it's not elite level. So that's 3 level appropriate skills that they have so far. And then they have, after that, they did, what did they do? Oh yeah. So after they did their low to high stretch, they did their rewind down to a low V-sit or teddy. And that isn't a stunt, that's a transition. So that doesn't count towards their difficulty, but that does help with their creativity. So they went low V-sit to 1.5 lib, and The 1.5 to single leg stunt is a level appropriate skill. It's not elite, but it's level. So right there is 4. So now they're in that high range. They're in the high range. They can score anywhere between a 4 and a 5 in stunt difficulty. After they did their lib, they pulled, I think, like score scale, and then they doubled out of their scale, which is their 5th and final level appropriate skill that they did for stunting. So, with that stunt sequence right there, the judge probably scored them in difficulty maybe like a 4.5 to 4.7. I think 4.7 is probably being a little generous. Not that it wasn't difficult enough, but it could have been more difficult. So you want to leave room for difficulty. You don't want to give them like a 4.7, 4.8 while they're doing like low to highs, or they're doing a power press, which is like a level 3 skill. You don't want to give them a really high score and give them nothing to work with, so now they can increase their difficulty so that they can score higher. Use of level appropriate and non-level appropriate just wasn't as difficult as it could have been. So I'm assuming, between that high range, that 4 and 5 high range, they probably scored somewhere between a 4.5 to maybe a 4.7 in difficulty. As far as creativity goes, and it's the definition for creativity is a team's ability to incorporate visual, unique, and innovative ideas. This includes level and non-level appropriate skills. And as I mentioned before, I think the only thing that was creative, unique or innovative in their routine was their rewind down, which is essentially like a full down. The bases are holding onto the feet down to their teddy or V-sit. I don't know what people call them. And then their 1.5 to lib. And while yes, that's very creative, that was probably the only bit of creativity in that entire stunt sequence. And so stunt creativity, I probably give them about a 4.4, 4.5. The last category of stunts was stunting technique. And where is it? So there's below average, which is a 3 to 3.4, average, which is 3.5 to 4.4, and above average, which is 4.5 to 5. Now I definitely score them above average because they executed their stunts really well, but we're looking at the total stunt group. We're looking at the bases, we're looking at the flyers, their flexibility, their body lines, all that. And their stunt technique, I probably would have scored them, obviously in the above average, but on the lower side. So like a 4.5, 4.6 in stunting technique, only because, in their 1.5 to libs, some of the flyers, like their toe isn't completely glued to their knee. Like as soon as they hit their stunt, their toe should be glued to their knee, and they shouldn't be moving. There was some movement under the stunts by the bases in those 1.5 ups, and also in the flyers and their heel stretches, there were some bent knees, there were some toes that weren't pointed, and also their double ups were their double up to extended 2-leg stunts was it was like a dip, and then like a dip to the back, and then it was like a 1.5, and then it kind of finished to the front, and then the bases turn. So if we put all those numbers together, and this is just stunting, and this is just what I think, so if we gave them like a 4.5 in stunt difficulty, I need to get my calculator out because I don't do math. 4.5 in stunt difficulty, we'll give them a 4.6 in technique and a 4.5 in creativity. Oh, I think I said a 4.5 difficulty, whatever. 4.5 in both difficulty and creativity, 4.6 in stunting technique. That would give them a 13.6 out of 15. That's kind of my take on what Peach probably scored just in stunting alone. Now on to A-Team. Now A-Team, Spirit of Texas A team, they did not have nearly as many stunts as Peach had, but they took their one elite sequence and they were able to get in the high range. A team, just like Peach, they had 7 stunt groups, which is full team, not most. They did 7 double ups, 2 two-legged stunts, 2-legged extended stunt. And then they also did a power press to opposite heel stretch. And they did high to high stretch, which those 2 stunts right there are elite level appropriate skills. So 1, they've gotten their 5 in stunt quantity, and 2, they've done 2 elite level stunts. And so all they need is 2 more to get into that high range. They did high to high stretch, and then they did they did a bump down to V-sit or Teddy, and then they like reloaded, and they did a quarter ball up to single leg stunt, and it was, I think, a lib. And then they did arabesque, maybe pulled some body positions, and did like a scorp double down. And the scorp is their 4th and final level appropriate skill. So back to their quarter ball up. Now on the stunting grid, they don't have that stunt, but they do have like a half ball up to an extended level stunt. So I just assume that a quarter ball up to an extended single leg stunt would probably fall into that same category, which happens to be an elite level stunt. So they have 4 stunts. 3 of them are elite level skills. Only did they do, 3 elite level appropriate skills, but the whole team did them. They had 7 stunt groups do them, not just the 6 that's required. So I think that automatically kind of takes them out of like the 4-5, 4-6 range. So for stunt difficulty, I probably would give them a 4-7. It wouldn't hurt to add an inversion. That'll probably increase A-team's difficulty. So I probably would have given A-team like a 4-7 in difficulty. For their technique, I probably would score them around the same, like a 4-6, 4-7 for difficulty, or for technique, because their bases didn't move. The bases were solid. I think day 1 they had a bobble, which I think bobble should be a deduction, but that's a whole different topic. I'd probably score them a little higher in their technique, not just based off of flyers, but based off the bases. I set that up terribly. In stunt creativity, I probably would score them not too creative, probably around like a 4-4, 4-5, just like Peach. There wasn't really anything creative stunting wise. I don't know about their pyramid. So technique, creativity, difficulty. So let's add those up. So difficulty like a 4-7, creativity 4-5, technique 4-7. That gives them like a 13.9. 13.9, which, I think I had Peach at like a 13.6, which, yeah, that's 0.3 of a point, but that's only in one aspect of the routine. That's just in stunts. So those are things that judges look for. It's not just about what you first see and what you perceive. There's a lot that goes into how routines are judged. So, thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble and rant. I hope I explained, as much as I could. I hope I was clear. If not, you guys are free to ask me any questions. You guys can leave your questions below. I'm also going to link, I wrote a blog last year about how the judging system works. It's a little different this year, but you kind of get the gist of it. So I'll link that below. And then I'm also going to link the 2 videos, of Peach and A-Team, so you guys can kind of watch it for yourselves and maybe see what I'm talking about or not. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, leave them below. You guys can also follow me on Twitter. I will put everything in the description bar below. So thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.